Okay, what we're doing here today is we're painting a pheasant, doing the finishing touches on a pheasant. We got everything to do with pheasant except for the painting. We're going to do the beak first. On the beak we're going to use a tooth yellow. Just mix some white and a drop or two of yellow till you get a off color white. And then we'll add some more color to that beak. Give it a good coat. Now we're going to change colors. What we're using for a reference is this book here. It's Breakthrough Waterfowl and Bird Finishing Manual. It gives you most of your ducks and geese and your upland birds. It gives you a paint schedule on how to finish them with the beaks and the feet. What we're doing now is we're adding a little bit of what they call a pearl white to the yellow. It'll give it just a little bit of a sheen. Stir that up. Make sure your flow is coming out. We'll just give it a light coat. Don't worry about overspray, we'll take that off. What I'm going to do here is add a little brown to this mixture, this tooth yellow mixture. Just to darken it up a little bit, a couple drops. Stir it up good. What we're going to do is we're going to spray the bill a little bit from the back to the front, just to make the back of the bill a little darker. We always test it out on some paper, make sure we got everything going good. See, it's a little bit darker, it's a little bit more of a tan color. And what we'll do is we'll spray it from about here right on down. Kind of blend it in going to the back. You see the difference there now? And then we'll highlight this with just a little darker brown, these nasal passages. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dump the rest out. And what's left, I'm going to add some brown to it. Make that be a real dark brown, or a light dark, a darker brown than what I used on the back of that. It's darker than tan. So you'll see here when I spray this. Just give these little nostrils just a little bit of brown on them. You don't want them very dark. Now if you had a real dark beak, you could add some more of this brown to these areas here. But if I recall this one here, he had kind of a light beak. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get some red going, and we're going to spray this stuff here. We're going to take care of this head before I move down to the feet. So we're going to get the red going, and then we'll get that painted. I use a fairly bright red. You'll see it as it comes out here. See that? What I do is spray around here. Now you can take these eyes out if you want. I'll be careful and spray around them. But I had to do some repair work right here. I used a little bit of epoxy sculpt. Then I used a texturing brush and textured it so it looks like the rest. But you'll see how that'll... You see that? That made a nice red color on there. Now I'll turn it over and do the other side. Exactly the same way. So in the book it doesn't say anything about painting the eyes. It's just, or this wattle area, but do it anyway. It'll stay red a lot longer. We're starting on the feet now. We're going to put some brown on the toes and the legs. Then we're going to put some other colors with it. A lot of these pheasants have different colors on their legs. We're just going to give this one just a light dusting. We'll turn it around and get the other side. Just very lightly. Now we're putting on with the kind of a bluish green color. It's a mixture of what they call a palatial blue, white, and some green. And it describes in this book what proportions to put together. You see how that's just a little bit bluish. What we're going to do is give these feet just a very light dusting. We'll cover up these tail feathers. And we turn it over and do the bottoms of them. Very lightly. That's all we're going to put on that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a black color. We're going to do the bottom of the feet with black and a little bit on the lower toes. We're cleaning our brush here a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit of black in here. Okay. We're just going to spray the lower toes just a little bit. You can barely see it. I've got one toe over here I can't reach, so I got to turn him like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to try to get the bottom of the feet if we can. Just go ahead and get in close, like so. Just to the bottom of the feet, just like so. And then in the book it'll tell you a few other things, steps you can take with your black. Now what you want to do is you can go ahead and spray this with a kind of like a satin poly, or they got a refracted gloss you can buy, and what they call for is a satin sheen gloss. But what I like to use is just matte finish. Just go ahead and that'll dry flatter than what it looks. Then what we want to do is we want to clean the toenails off. You can use paint thinner or acetone. What I use is acetone. It takes it off quicker. You have just a little bit more control with it. You don't spread it around as much. You just take and hold your pheasant out, and it'll take that paint right off of there. Make sure you get all the toenails. And the spur too. You want to make sure you clean the spur off. You see what I mean? See the spur's got paint on it? Go over them once more and make sure that they're all clean. I hate seeing mounts with dirty toenails or paint on them. Okay. There you go. And then if you have any overspray around your eyes here, on your feathers, I'll show you what you do. You just take a little acetone. You do this on all your birds. Just go right around on the feathers here. We got the extra. You see how that takes that off of there? It takes all that paint right off there. Wear gloves when you do this. I'm real careful, so. You see how it takes that paint right off of those feathers? Now, I'm going to get a real fine paintbrush. We're going to touch up around the eye with the red. What we have here is using the same color red. We're just going to go around the eye here a little bit. We didn't get in real close with the airbrush. I didn't want to change the color. They got straw colored eyes. Sometimes they have bright yellow. But you don't want them red. So we'll just do it this way. You see that? I'll just go ahead and we got a little bit of got just a little bit of paint on the eye here. I'm going to get rid of that. A lot of times you can just take and scrape that off with a knife blade. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give that beak just a coat of this matte finish. And that'll keep that from chipping off, and it'll give it a little better color. And now if you're really gonna, like if you're gonna do a show mount or something, you can go ahead and take a little bit of your acetone and clean the very tip of your beak here. I'll show you here how you do that. And what that does, that makes that beak real natural looking, because they're kind of clear at the end. Well, you gotta be kind of careful what you do. You don't want to take too much off. You see that? You'll get that clear look on the end of your beak. And now that bird there is going to be hanging on a piece of driftwood, and that'll make a nice mount. We've got us a black pheasant here. You'll see it. I'll pan back a little bit. You can see it. Okay. What I want to do is I want to cut these wires off that were under the wing here. Holding this wing up. Like so. Okay, we got that wire out. Now I'm going to finish pulling tape off the bottom that I had in here. Okay. We'll do this one too. The wings are usually on there pretty good about now, so you don't have to worry about feathers coming out. Normally, the beak was a kind of a straw colored too. Our cheek patches in red. I put the real bright eyes in this because it had yellow eyes, but I wanted it to look good when it was flying, so I wanted to get the real bright yellow eyes. And what we're going to do is we're going to spray paint this here red. Do the other side too. Even though it's not the show side, we're still going to do it. Okay. Now I'm going to clean this brush up. We're going to use an ivory colored again. I like this ivory. It's kind of what they call in the business, what they would call it is a tooth yellow, is what they want you to do these beaks with. And ivory is almost a tooth color. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and spray this with a tooth yellow. I'm going to let it set up a little bit. I'm going to come back and give it another coat or two. And this beak was a little bit different too. Well, we're going to make him what I want to do is I kind of want to fade right out to right about here. You can see the transition line right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in here close. I'm going to hold this with my thumb. Just like so. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay. Now we got that clear tip on it. That's what we want. Okay. Now I'm gonna get a little brown in here. I'll show you what I'm gonna do. Okay. Got a little bit of brown, just a little bit of ivory in there. Just to lighten that brown up a little bit. Okay, we're going to stir it. It didn't lighten it a whole lot, but I'm going to get some more in there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get this brown in here where I was telling you about. Just like that. On both sides. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fade that out just a little bit here. You'll see that on that side. Now you'll see it on this side. You won't see it real heavily. I'm just going to fade it out a little bit. There you go. See that? Just barely hit that and faded it out. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this brush up. We're going to do a satin top coat on this. Put a satin top coat on these legs too. They were almost black when they came in. They were this color. So all I'm going to do is top coat these with satin. Because that's the color they were when they came in. And I injected these feet with foot preservative. So that's gonna be all right. Get a good coating on there. And what we're going to do is we're going to clean that head up a little bit with our acetone. Just like we did the other one, you just kind of roll it on around there. What that'll do is that'll brighten that up. Get a good one here. Good Q-tip. You go through a lot of Q-tips here. Just go ahead and go just like so. Doesn't look like there's anything on there, but you can see it come off on the Q-tip, so we know it's on there. Keep going, we got more. I'll go up here. I know I got it on here, I can see it, but look at there. We're just going to go ahead and roll those and get that looking good. Anyway, these odd, I don't know how in the heck I end up with all this odd stuff, but you know, it's neat stuff. It's just something you don't see every day. I'm doing the back side of her here. Sometimes these birds, the feathers, like I notice on these black pheasants, I get a couple in a year to do, and almost every one of them, they're pinny. Why? I don't know. Anyway, they usually are. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go ahead and trim these little strings off that are on here that I sewed him up with. Make sure I don't have any dingles hanging on him. Get feathers straightened down. If anything needs to be straightened out, now's the time to do it. Get the dust off of him. But anyway, I think that's going to make a fine mount. It's not bad. That's going to be a good looking bird. That's nice. Straighten up his tail a little bit. Get everything looking good. He's flying. He'll be on a nice piece of driftwood up. I'm going to put a little red around his eyes here. I hand painted him a little bit, but I want to get a little more on there. Okay, so it's not going to take a whole lot. Just go ahead and get your airbrush going. Not an albino. It's a melanistic type pheasant. I'm going to clean this out of my head. This pheasant had a real light colored bill, so there's really not a lot we're going to do with it. We're going to give it a little painting. What I like to do is when you zero in on these pheasants like this, I'm going to show you. Right here on the beak. When you paint a pheasant bill, you want to make sure that you leave this area right here kind of the way it is. It's kind of like a clear, not quite clear, but it's kind of opaque. You want to make sure that you leave this, otherwise it looks too fakey. What we're going to do is we're going to paint that kind of it's going to be some yellow. I'm going to mix a little bit of white. I don't want it real yellow, and I don't want it white either. Kind of like off yellow, or kind of an off white, maybe an ivory type color, I guess you'd call it. Let me get my paper towel here. Anyway, that's kind of a little bit too yellow. I'll put a little bit more white in there. Let's see if we can get down to kind of like an ivory color. The ivory might be good. I got ivory color too, but we'll see what happens here. There we go. And then we're going to end up, I'm going to put this underneath it so I don't overspray. And just open that up just a little. If I can get one coat on there, then I can build on that. It's kind of a yellow bird, so where the beak was. And we're getting there. Okay. We're still. See, I've got a little bit here. I want to get that off that bill. Right off the nib end of that. We don't want any paint right along the edges. It just doesn't look too good. Okay. Let that tack up a little bit. And get up here. Even the nostrils on a regular pheasant are a little bit brown up in here. What we're going to do is we got a little bit too yellow there. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. And we're going to use what I call an ivory color. I think that might work a little bit better on that bill. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that on as a base. See how that kind of lightened that? straighten that right out. Beak alone for just a little bit, but we're going to shift our gears down toward the feet. I'll back this up just a little, and we're going to turn it just like this so you can see it. They were kind of what I would call, this bird is just taken off from this log is what we want. I'm going to go ahead and use this ivory white. There's a base coat on this. Just for something else. For these feet weren't white. They were kind of a fleshy type color, I guess. Or I don't even know if I call them that. They might have been more of this ivory color than before. It was hard to tell because this bird had been shipped, had been all over the country, and it was frozen when I got it, and it just wasn't. I didn't mind it. I think that's dang close to what it was. It's matching up pretty good. I noticed this didn't lose a lot of color when it stayed about the same, so that's what I'm thinking. So what I'm doing is I'm giving it this color that I think it'll, see if I can get a little bit on this side. See here, we're just going to go ahead and, when things dry up, they really turn dark. I think that might do it. Now what we'll do is we'll let that sit for just a minute. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this brush up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give everything a satin top coat just to make it a little bit harder. That way if you touch that paint it won't come off. I'm just giving it a coat. That just kind of brings out the color a little bit and protects it. We're going to move up to the beak here. I'll show you that. Okay, now we're just going to go ahead and give that a little dusting too. We got one side. We got the other. Now I'm going to take a look at this beak here. And I've got a clear beak on the end, so, and if I don't, I'm going to make it that way because one thing I like on a pheasant is this little end cleared off. And you can see it on there. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is, this pheasant's ready to go. There isn't a lot to do except clean up his spurs and toenails. If you get some paint on those spurs and toenails, use water. If you do it right away, you can use water to get it off. You can see that's got pretty good spurs on him, the old boy. But anyway, what I'll do is I'll clean those off. See, the toenails are even kind of white. Whereas pheasants aren't that way. But anyway, that's that pheasant. Now what we'll do, we're going to do some final grooming on him. Right along in this area here, we got a little bit of spray. And right here. So what we do is we take that acetone, get it on our Q-tip, hold it steady, go around the edge here. And you can see it coming off. If you get that, you can see it. I'm gonna get some more on there. I'm getting this white on the eye. Okay. Now, I'm going to clean that, get a little bit more on there. I'm going to clean up around this area here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this so you can see this other side. Right along the edge here, this, I got some overspray. If you do it with the brush, you don't end up with much of that. But as it is, I wanted to show you how I did it with that brush. So just take and roll it. You can see that red coming off on my Q-tip here. Now we'll go ahead and do one side here. Yeah, we got her. Now we're going to wet the other end of the Q-tip and go after it again. Takes quite a bit sometimes to get her, but acetone cuts it really quick. And one thing about this, like on a regular bird, you wouldn't see that overspray really. You still do it, you'll see some overspray, but on this bird here it shows right up. So we've got to be kind of careful what we do. Anyway, we keep working on him until we get him clean. We'll go ahead and get some more on here. We're going to go after that just a little bit more. Anyway, that's going to dry pretty darn white. Now, this here pheasant is almost ready to call the guy to come and get it. We got just a little bit of grooming. You wet these feathers down right here. I get them down there. I'll give them a little shot of hairspray. I'll show you. Okay. We'll just give him a little shot of hairspray right here. And we'll put that feather down there. And then hold that right in place. Now if you get your feathers where you like them, you go ahead and give them a little shot of hairspray and you'll be in good shape. I get everything groomed up real nice. Make it look nice. Anyway, that's kind of a nice looking bird. I was just screwing around with the feathers here. We're sitting on a log getting ready to take off. This is what he wanted, so this is what he gets. The customer's usually right, but once in a while you can guide them. You know what I mean? But sometimes they got an idea of what they want, and this kid knows what he wants, so, and he's pretty good at it, so what I did, it makes the feathers look nice here. They're kind of on the ground, spread out. It looks good. I like it. Anyway, I think that's a neat mount. Anyway, that's the end of that pheasant. Just do your bill like that, yellow. On some bills they're darker. You can just add a touch of brown to it, light brown. Just take a little bit off of that. And then some brown in here, right in this area right here. This bill didn't have it. Maybe because he was a white pheasant or what, but a little bit of brown in here. You can put a little brown here and taper it out and make it look good. And you do the white, and then you mix up your pheasant colors for regular pheasant legs. You want kind of a greenish type blue color. Clean up your toenails, and hey, you got her made right there. You can put out a decent mount. Make sure when these are drying, the wattles are drying, that you kind of keep on top of those and keep them so they're down a little bit. You don't want them to get all crinkly and that. Anyway, that's a nice looking bird. So anyway, that's the end of that pheasant.